Good morning, everybody. Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. We're a full service CX and UX agency, and this is experimental early office hours Ask Me Anything. Normally, I do this every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Italy time, where I am, so this is kind of early. And I put on the extra strong concealer, but it's not totally helping. I went to bed quite late last night because I am working on a research project with doing remote observational research with people in America, so I've been staying up late to meet them. Whew! So during office hours Ask Me Anything, you are welcome to ask me anything. You can ask it in the LinkedIn and YouTube chat, which I'm watching, and you can also ask it here at deltacx.link/ask. And normally I stick around for X minutes, and if there's no questions, we wrap up the stream. We did have one question come in ahead of time, so that came in anonymously, so I will read it and then I will answer it. And don't forget, I will be back in 8.5 hours doing the same thing again. So get your questions in. You can send questions anytime to deltacx.link/ask. Mark them for early or late, and I will answer them. There will not be an early office hours next week. I have an appointment that I cannot miss or reschedule, so we will skip early office hours next week. If you ask a question for early office hours next week, I will answer it in late office hours. That's for May 4th. Good morning, Denise. How are you? I hope things are going as well as they can where you are. So here's the question I got ahead of time. A new design version was made without user research. Now I want to validate the new design. Should I test it with new users who only used the new version, or existing users who used both the old and the new? I know that existing users will have resistance to change, and it might affect the testing results. So maybe three things here. I have a lot of reactions here. So number one, I always want people to be careful of, I'm going to validate the new design. I think we should change our language a little bit because it sounds like we're going to find a way to make this look good. So I try to watch my language there. You could end up invalidating the new design. So we are testing the new design, and we don't know whether it will validate or invalidate some or all of the new design. So be careful, because I do find that sometimes when we say validate, stakeholders and other people hear, hooray, we're going to get the data that says this design is great, even if it's not. So then, should we test it with new or existing users? I think sometimes a mix would be great. I don't see any particular reason, without knowing more about your job or your work, why we can't recruit some people who are existing users and some people who are new or fit our personas but are not current customers, and get additional opinions from that angle as well. We're doing that in the research that I stayed up late doing. Oh, raccoon eyes. We are trying to meet at least 16, maybe 20 existing users of the system. And then we're trying to meet at least 8 or possibly even as many as 16 people who are target customers but have never seen this website before. And I think it's great to have both angles. The third thing I want to mention is not everybody hates change as much as we think. While it is true that people can be resistant to change, and change can be upsettingly disruptive for some people in some situations, remember that normally when something has been made better, there is that shift where we go, oh, okay, they changed this, now I have to change what I'm doing. But if you really did make it better, if you really do have a better design, then there shouldn't be as much resistance to it as you think. There might be a little bit, oh, they changed this. One of the interviews I did last night was with someone familiar with the company, and when she saw the site, she said, oh, I haven't been here in a few months, and it looks like they made some great changes. Oh, wow, this is great. So again, just because there's change doesn't mean people automatically hate it, but there's little step to go. So I would say don't be afraid of bringing people change. It's so funny. Our companies talk about innovating and disrupting, which is like the absolute pinnacle of change, but then we're all afraid to move a button. So which is it? Do we need innovation and monster change and breaking people away from things they're doing and showing them things they've never seen? Or are we afraid to change something? So don't be afraid to change something. If you've made it better, you'll know. And if you've made it worse, you'll know. And make sure you're just writing up this testing honestly. Make sure you are creating testing tasks that don't try to validate the design. Make sure you are creating testing tasks based on the original problem this design was trying to solve. So if this design was trying to be a faster checkout, then we're testing the checkout. If it's a better way to pay your bill, make people pay their bill. Don't give them anything that seems fine-tuned to what this design ended up being. Give them tasks based on the original problem or challenge, and then we'll know if this is really valid, invalid, or somewhere in between. I hope that helps. Feel free to ask follow-up questions, and we've got some questions from Denise, which I will copy and paste and add to the list. And thank you, Denise, for the questions this morning. Also, it looks like we have 5 people watching live, and I would like to ask y'all, if I didn't do early office hours ever again, and we just did the late ones, how would that affect you? Better, worse, problems? Let me know, because these early office hours aren't great for me, and I think I've said that basically every week. So I'm wondering how to figure this out. If I did it once a month at this time, is that good? Is that not often enough? Let me know, for the now 4 people watching, what you think. So Denise's first question is, can we get reliable results of card sorting with 7 participants as a total? Lovely question. I'm glad you're doing some card sorting. What I have generally seen in some of the things that I have read is that you are typically looking for at least 30. That 7 can certainly be a start, but that trying to get, if you are doing an unmoderated card sort where you're not watching these people and you're not talking to them and you're not finding out why, then usually you want at least 30. If you are doing this moderated, where you are in a session with them and they're sharing their screen and they're doing the card sort, and then you're asking them questions about why they ordered it this way and what their priorities were and why, I think you can get away with 7. I tried to do 8 to 12 on the moderated, but I think you can get away with 7. If these are unmoderated, I would say 7's a little bit low, because a lot of the card sort data ends up being quantitative. It ends up being not as qualitative as we would hope, because we weren't with those people. We don't know why they ordered things a certain way or grouped things in certain ways. So I would say, she says moderated. If it's moderated, I think you can get away with 7, especially if you're already seeing patterns. If you're not really seeing patterns and people are really doing very different things, find a few more people, see if that helps you find a pattern. But if it is 7 moderated and you're seeing some patterns, I would say it's probably pretty good. Again, I tend to go for 8 to 12, so 7 could be close enough. So I'll give it a strong maybe. I hope that helps. And thanks to Denise. And Denise has another question. And remember, the questions can be asked to deltacx.link/ask, as well as here in the chat. Denise says, how can I do manual analysis of card sorting? I say manual, maybe as affinity map to define some patterns. What should I be looking for? Okay, these questions are all related. So I did a moderated and unmoderated card sort in December. And I would say I ended up getting more information from the moderated. And I felt that a lot of the number crunching that I got from both were kind of like auxiliary information. They weren't the core of information. Excuse me. So how do you do the manual analysis? My answer would be whatever way best suits your style. I can't come in and tell you how to do something that tends to be style-based. If you find that it helps you to make an affinity map or diagram of the things people said or the things people did or their priorities or why they felt certain ways, absolutely do that. Sometimes I tend to be more of a note taker. I end up with a Word document or nowadays a Google Doc of things people said and things people did and some notes I wanted to highlight, especially things that might have been observational, something I saw people do that they didn't say because it wouldn't show up in the transcript. For defining patterns, again, anything that works for you, you can't go wrong with an affinity map or diagram. That usually helps people get some ideas up on a physical or virtual sticky note board and hopefully start to see the patterns. As I put things up, I try to immediately start putting them together as patterns. So some people put all their notes up and then try to start organizing them. As I put notes up, I say, oh, wait, that one goes with that other one that I already put up. Okay, let's put it over there. Hey, wait, this one goes with that one too. And these two kind of go together. So I tend to be the put things in patterns and groups as I go, or sometimes I'm ungrouping them and saying, wait a minute, I really have two themes here. Let's split these up. So that's my personal technique, and you can try that. If it doesn't work for you, please don't use it. But manual analysis of card sorting for me. Also, I use Optimal Workshop, #not sponsored. I felt like their system gives me a lot of nice tools that helps me support what I saw. So the dendrograms, I might be pronouncing that wrong. I always get that wrong. I would have to go back to, I'm still waking up. They have that visualization where they show you how much things related to each other, and it looks like a big Mayan pyramid. I find that is helpful for drawing relationships between pairs of things. Optimal Workshop, not sponsored, will also try to crunch some numbers on what people did. So I think that Denise asked a follow-up question. I don't know if I'm going in the right direction, helping you, not helping you. Let me know what else I can speak to that would be helpful to you. So thanks and good luck with the card sorts. And we've got Abhishek here. Good to see you. Good midday, I think, where you are. Good lunchtime. Good after lunch. So Abhishek says, hey, morning, Debbie. Yeah, I'm still waking up. I was up pretty late. It's 10:13 my time, and I was up till almost 2 doing these interviews. I was watching yesterday's session with Ben, and I had to leave midway. Although my question is that we don't use UX tools in the design thinking process too, and what is so wrong with design thinking? Good morning, Janani, or good evening. I think if you watch yesterday's session, which I recommend for everybody. Thank you to Abhishek for the emoji. Oh, I'm getting some shadows on my green screen. Sorry, morning. Hope it's not annoying considering you did a whole session on it yesterday. I can say watch that session, everybody, episode 108, which was What Isn't Design Thinking? That'll go out today as an audio-only podcast when I wake up. So why don't we use UX tools in the design thinking process? I guess the question is why? Why are we trying to make the design thinking process more like UX? What's wrong with UX and user-centered design? Why do we have to find a new name for it? Why do we have to try to make it something shorter or less effective or more designed by committee? User experience design and user-centered design were not suffering from, gosh, we just don't have enough workshops where we all guess at this stuff. So I think that there isn't a great reason to try to make design thinking more like UX or user-centered design. I would rather see design thinking go away because it's just such an unknown. It's religion at this point. It's like saying Jesus to someone. You have no idea what their opinion is on Jesus, and you don't know if it's good or bad or this big or life-changing or not life-changing. And to me, that's what design thinking sounds like now. And I would rather just see it go away. Because when someone says to me, user-centered design, I don't say, user-centered design, I wonder what they mean by that. I wonder what they're doing. I know exactly what that is. But if you say design thinking to me, I don't know what that is. I really don't. I don't know if you're thinking. I don't know if it's a mindset and you're just trying to think like a designer. I really don't know what you're doing. So, what is so wrong with design thinking? We covered some of it yesterday. Mostly we focused on what's wrong with the definition of design thinking. We didn't focus necessarily on what's wrong with some of the process, framework, pedagogy. We focused mostly on what's going wrong with definitions of it. I hope that helps. And I guess Janani was watching it because Janani is saying, amazing session with Ben yesterday. Thank you. It was a lot of fun. I actually rewatched it this morning and laughed and cried again. It was really funny. And I'm glad Janani is here because you were the inspiration for early office hours. And I'm not totally sure they are a success. So my question would be, plan B, if I did early office hours twice a month, once a month, because these are really tough for me. I've got to wake up early in some cases. You know, you can always see that I'm still kind of falling apart and raccoon-eyed, and it is definitely a little bit disruptive to my schedule. But of course, I don't do these for me. I do these for you. So I'm trying to split the difference, and I'm wondering if doing them every other week would be okay, or once a month, because it's just kind of messing with my schedule. But I also don't want to cut people off who are in other time zones. So help me out here. Also, I find that I'm not getting a lot of people live, and but some people are watching the recorded ones yesterday. So of course, it's always worth it to have anything in the YouTube channel. If it helps people, it helps people. But some of the timing of doing this live is a little bit tough on me. Especially with being up late last night doing observational research with Americans. So questions. I don't see any questions coming in, and we were doing the 2.5-minute countdown last time, where if people don't have questions within 2.5 minutes, I'm just going to end the stream because I don't want to sit here for an hour and go, hi, anybody have questions? I'm drinking my breakfast shake. Hi, anybody have questions? Hey, what does everybody think of the new theme song? Wow. Just wow. Tejal says, once a month would be good. And what if we could post questions before? You can. deltacx.link/ask is a link that works 24 hours a day, and it will ask you if you want your question to be answered in the early office hours or in the late ones that I will continue doing every Tuesday. Those are not up for question. I will absolutely keep doing Tuesday office hours at 6:30 p.m. Italy time every Tuesday. But to do two on Tuesdays is a little bit tough on me and waking up early. So I think and again, you can always watch the archive of the late ones if you missed it. And if you have a question for me, I will answer it. Send it in, deltacx.link/ask, and I will answer it for the early ones or the late ones. And I think we should just come up with, a pattern like, the last Tuesday of the month will be office hours, ask me anything, like that's today. And then maybe next time we do it again. Let's take a look at my calendar. Let's look at the month view. That would be, I would have to skip Tuesday, May 25th, because I'm running a conference. Let's pick something different. Let's pick, third Tuesday of the month. So that would be May 18, June 15, July 20. So maybe we try that, and I'll switch to that, and I'll also change up the deltacx.link/ask to remind people that if you do want the early one, that's only going to be answered once a month. If you want your question answered in the late one, that's going to be every week. And you can always watch the archive if you're not here live. Krishna says, theme song is awesome. I know, I'm having so much fun with it. I don't think I'm going to get tired of it. Oh, thank you, Janani. Thank you so much for the donation to the universe. I like to joke that it's going to help me buy delicious cheese. Though if you heard the new theme song, it's going to help pay for the theme song. Thank you so much. Low ego action hero, Janani. Tejal says, great, I will do that. Question. Okay, so let's get Tejal's question up, and then it looks like Denise is cooking up a question. So let's see. Tejal is on LinkedIn, so I can't put the question up on the screen. I can only put up YouTube. But it says, how a software developer into microservices, transitioning into user research, leveraging learnings and experience. So, software development into microservices, I think that your attention to detail can certainly serve you well moving into CX and UX. As for transitioning what you've been doing into user research, I don't really see a lot of overlap there. So I think you're going to have to learn, I've heard some people say a whole new stack. You're going to have to learn a whole new set of skills, approaches, techniques, science. User research is very much about cognitive psychology and human behavior. You would mostly be studying that. You might also be studying research design methods. You might also be studying statistical analysis. So if you're really looking to get into user research, I would say there isn't that much to me that I think is immediately transferable from software dev or DevOps. So I think that in some ways you might feel like you're starting over, and hopefully you're comfortable with that. But please do ask me some follow-up questions while we're here today so I can see if I'm understanding you correctly and addressing your question. And Denise, I'm getting your question on the list of things to answer. Oh, hold on. I messed up copy paste. Good morning. I can't even copy paste. It's going to be a long day. All right. So Denise says, we can put it up on the screen. I work on a total redesign of a product. I feel that the project won't end because so many parts of it need a redesign because of the complexity of the product. Can we start with incremental steps and move one part of the product at once? So it's funny. Many companies are trying to do MVPs and smaller pieces of products and projects. And it sounds like your company didn't necessarily do that. It sounds like someone's looking at this whole product and we have to build the whole thing. Now, that can work, but that is typically seen as being waterfall. And if you're supposed to be in an agile environment, then you're not agile. This is waterfall. I would say, can you work maybe with product and maybe a project manager on how to break this project into smaller pieces that engineering can then build and ship? Basically, you're doing either mini waterfalls or some sort of agile where you can say, all right, we have this entire product. It does all these things, but let's break it into pieces. Here's our dashboard. We're going to work on the dashboard. This is high priority. It's low priority. Then we can build it and we can release it to the customer, or we can wait till everything's done and be waterfall. Then what about this section over here? This is where people do these tasks. So the best way to split things up, in my opinion, is normally by the customers or users' tasks or the customers or users' workflows. What are some things the customers or users are doing end to end? And that way you can say, aha, here's something people need to do start to finish. This is a project. This is a small project, this is a large project, but this is a project and we can now build this and again, either release it to them or wait until the whole product is done to release it all together. So Denise, that would be my suggestion, is try to map out different tasks and workflows that users and customers have throughout your system or product and see where those can logically be separated into projects that you can then work with other teammates on prioritizing so we know what's important. Because another problem with trying to redesign a whole product is it's going to be what I call a moving target. Somehow you're never working on the right thing at the right time. You're working on the dashboards, we needed you over here on the payment. Oh, you're working on the payment? Well, we need you over here on this. It's going to be a disorganized project that just seems to go forever, what I like to call the Winchester Mystery House. I'll type that into YouTube. If you've never heard of it, it's a wacky thing to look up. It's now a tourist attraction in California, and basically it's a mansion that a woman built because she thought she was being haunted by spirits, and this is late 1800s, and a medium told her that if she builds on her house 24 hours a day and lives in constant chaos, the spirits will be happy. That's a short version. And when I see a project that seems to have no priorities and it's maybe even lacking strategy and we're just trying to do, I tend to feel like, it's the Winchester Mystery House. We are just going to build 24 hours a day and hope the spirits are happy. So I hope that helps, and let me know if you have another question. And I might not pronounce your name correctly, but Madeline says, "Hey Debbie, love your work. Thank you. Love your hat. Episode 108, What Isn't Design Thinking, was a killer. Awesome session. Thank you. I enjoyed it too. It was very fun and funny, but I hope also meaningful and powerful, and asked some important questions that we need to say out loud." Janani's got a question. Let me copy and paste this into our list of questions. And hello to the 10 people watching us live. Janani says, and this looks a little cut off by my system, but here we go. "I'm currently working on past project insight synthesis. Most of the project's done by someone else. I'm really struggling with understanding the context of these projects. Any advice on how to proceed?" So it sounds like someone quit, or probably quit, not necessarily was fired, and they didn't leave very good documentation. So this is a reminder to ourselves to leave better documentation, not only for future self when you look at your own project later on, but when you leave that company and someone else is looking at your stuff, please set them up for success. Even if you hate your job and you hate your company and you wish you could burn it all to the ground, figuratively, please set everybody up for success and leave better documentation. If someone looking at your stuff later can't figure out the context of your project, you're doing something wrong. So I would probably, if I were in your shoes, I would be looking for people who have been at the company long enough to remember those projects. And obviously, it's not this person, they left. What about that person's manager or team lead? Is that person still there? Team leads are supposed to have oversight into all of the projects that their team members are working on. So I wonder if a team lead knows more about this. Very often a product manager will know some more things. Hey, product manager, why did we do this research? Or what was this related to? Or do you remember at the time what we were trying to do? I found that when I had a job a few years ago and I felt the same way, I just started digging up product managers, and I would find the product manager that owned that area of our universe, and I would say, "Hey, I found this stuff that it looks like somebody was working on at some point. Do you know what's up with that? Can you tell me more?" And I also had the opposite. I had a product manager ask me if I could figure out a way, because the product manager loved something a competitor was doing. And they said, "Can you figure out a reason customers might need this so we can build it?" And I was like, well, no, I usually don't reverse engineer customers' needs that way. Like, we research to see what people need and we build what they need. We don't take something we want to build and hope they need it. So I did the opposite. I started poking around my own department, which was the UX department, and started poking around saying, does anybody know why this product manager is trying to build this thing? And somebody from my department said, "Oh yeah, I used to be on her team 2 years ago and she was trying to get that built then." And I told her no, and here's why. So usually there is someone who is still there, unless there has been a mass exodus or C-exodus or a mass firing or reorg or layoffs. There's usually someone who knows something, and I would dig for that person. It's sometimes not in the UX department. It is sometimes a product manager. Even the project manager might not know, but a product manager I find usually knows. Or again, a team lead. I hope that will help. Denise says that was a helpful answer. Thank you, Denise. I'm always happy when you're here and hoping to help you out with things. Let's see, am I missing anonymous questions coming in? Because I forgot to look. I don't see anonymous questions coming in. They come in through this link 24 hours a day. They come into my email and I put them on the question list. So, you will be heard. deltacx.link/ask. Best for outside of office hours, or if you want to ask something anonymously because you're talking crap about your job and you don't want me to yell your name out. Tejal says, thank you, Debbie. Background. I'm taking user research training with experienced mentors. I'll believe that when I see it. Give me the link to where you are doing this, because I am going to be doing on May 10th, looking at companies and boot camps and assessing them, and I'd love to see this one. How to effectively apply and streamline the learnings of foundations like HFE, cognitive engineering, psychology when you're a newbie researcher. It's overwhelming. So let me get this question on the list. So while this is an excellent question, absolutely excellent question, how do I apply something I've learned is always an excellent question. It is a hard one for me to answer because I'm not your mentor, coach, or instructor. I don't know what you've learned, so I can't say, aha, now that you've learned Gestalt principles of perception, here's some ways that you can apply it. Hey, now that you've learned a little bit about how people parse language or code switching or some of these other things, here's how you'd apply it. There isn't one blanket answer that I can give that says, hey, if you've learned some principles of cognitive psychology, human factors engineering, here's how you apply them. Ultimately, the best way to apply them is to have a real or sample project, do it, and have your mentors and coaches checking in with you constantly. I have some of my apprentices on a project right now, and I hope they don't feel over scrutinized, but I am checking in with every round of things they do, not because I want to micromanage them, but because they're here to learn. And if I let them go too far with something without checking it, I don't know if they're applying things correctly. I don't know if they're messing it up. I don't know, and they don't know. I don't know if they're guessing and where they shouldn't be guessing. So I believe that application and practice are important, but we really need those mentors and coaches to look in on us. I believe an hour or two a week. That's how much mentoring and coaching I believe people learning should have, especially if they're devoting 10, 20 or more hours to the real or sample project they're working on. They might need more hours per week. So it is overwhelming, but it might be a better question. If you say you're learning from experienced mentors, my question is, where are they? You can't, to me, the benefit of an experienced mentor is not just that they're a talking head giving you a lecture. It's that they're going to look at your work and say, your research plan isn't as good as it could be. Let's take a look at why you chose that methodology and why a different one might be better. Hey, you're writing your screener survey to recruit the right people. I don't think you have the right questions here, or your questions are good, but they're not in the best order for a screener survey. Hey, you're working on your discussion guide. I'm not sure you're asking the right questions. Ultimately, this is the way that we're all going to learn. We're all going to learn by doing. And I'm learning new things too. Last year was my first time doing task analysis with Larry Marine, and I turned 49 this year. So we are all always learning, and that's a beautiful thing. So I hope that helps, but unfortunately I don't have an easy answer for you because it's just too broad a question. But really I would go to those mentors and say, this is overwhelming. Give me a plan of how I am going to utilize this information, put it into practice, use it in real or sample projects. You've got to do that. Tejal says, I'm learning at UX Expert. I got to know about you as you were a guest on their talks. Oh, okay, great. That's Tushmar, or I forgot his name. It's something like that. Yeah, I'm not familiar with his program, but he seemed like a good guy. So hopefully he's given you the right stuff. And really, by the way, you're saying HFE, cognitive engineering, psychology. I think you are probably going in the right direction because most people learning UX and CX don't use those words. So great. And also, Madeleine, please help me pronounce your name better. If you can write something phonetically, because I do want to try to pronounce names well, but I'm really bad at them. And I don't want anybody to feel insulted by a bad name pronunciation because I'm not trying to mess up people. Yes, Tushar, thank you. Yes, he seems very nice. And I see a non-anonymous question coming in. Let me get that on the list as well. Thank you, Irena. Let's see, Irena is watching now, so I will put this question on the now list after Madeleine's question. So hold on, let's get these on the list. My list ends up as the description in the YouTube video, so you can always find a list of what we talked about. So let's start with this one. Debbie, from your job interviewing experience, what are your expectations when it comes to feedback offered by the interviewing company once you get rejected at a late stage in the process? So there is the fantasy and the reality there. I think you already know the answer. I'm pronouncing it correct. Oh, thank you. Well, because the A's have neat shapes on them, and I don't know what that sounds like or what its native language is. So I'll do my best. Thank you. There's expectation and there's reality. I believe that if you're rejected at an early stage, I understand it's going to be a form email and they're usually not going to tell you why, even though I still think they should. When you are rejected after in-person interviews, I believe you should be told why. I believe you should get as much specific feedback as possible, not just we went with someone else. I do believe that there should be clear communication and actionable help as to why they didn't pick you. And sometimes you are strong and you are good, but there were just too many strong, good candidates and they picked someone else. And there isn't critical feedback for you. But I believe that where there is critical feedback, it should be given and given freely. So my expectations right now are really low. I think people are not communicating. I think they're not giving the personal touch. I think they're not giving us what they would want for themselves. I think they're giving us a lot of crappy form emails. So I got a form email the other day that was like, thanks for applying, but we're not going to interview you. And we're not, we don't really have time to tell you why. So of course I wrote back and said, thanks for that. I don't have time to tell you too much, but I do want to tell you to please take my HR training. So let me put that up on the screen. Some of you know that I have just released an HR training program that is completely free. And I am suggesting, here, let me fix some of the font sizes here. I am suggesting that people, especially when you see a crappy job description or you see an unreasonable job description, or when you get some crappy stuff with HR, give them deltacx.link/HR training and say there is a completely free training out there that can tell you more about CX and UX jobs and why we are flight risks and why we are often unhappy and how to create better jobs that we're more likely to stay at. Let's see, how does this look? That looks a little better. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a great news for you there. I don't think people are doing the right thing. And I put that in my HR training that we really need to have more human communication and tell people things they need to know. Sorry. You're welcome. HR training, tell everybody. It's free. It's for HR, recruiters, sourcers, screeners, hiring managers. It's for everybody. And I really hope people will start sending it to companies that accept them, reject them, recruiters that show them ridiculous jobs. Get it out there. Tell everybody. Irena says, Could you please talk a bit more about reverse engineering user needs? For example, I have a product idea based on what's missing in my life. Now I want to check whether other people experience the same difficulties and would use the product I'd like to build. Of course, I'm open to fine-tune the idea or product so it answers the problem better. I believe what I'm about to do is what you call reverse engineering the needs, and I'd like to know if there's some good sides to it. Okay, super question. I got lots to say about this. I wouldn't actually necessarily call this reverse engineering, but maybe, I'm less concerned about what it's called. The difference is you're taking the right approach. You want to know, how do I make sure that my idea is right, or is there a better idea out there? So last summer I had an idea and I was like, is it just me? Am I the only one who hates this, that, and the other thing and wants a better way to do it? And so I created a project, and that's where I brought in some of my early apprentices. So when you hear me talk about my secret apprenticeship project from last year, I put apprentices on researching this for me and with me. And we ended up speaking to 25 or 26 people who might be in the target audience to see, the best thing that you can learn is not, do you want this? Because people don't necessarily know what they want, and people often want to say yes just to be nice or polite or supportive. So the real question and the way to get to the bottom of this is, how do you do this now? How do you do this now? What's working about it and what's not working about it? How could this be improved? If they happen to come up with similar things to what you're thinking, you might be onto something. If it turns out everybody's okay with how it's going, maybe you're not onto something. Maybe it's just you, and maybe you'll learn from them what are some better ways to go. I went through this a few years ago with a friend who had a startup, and she had this idea to create this system. I'll just call it a system. And I said, can I help you out and do some early research interviews to make sure this is going in the right direction? And she said, oh, yes, that would be great. And I said, I'll just do it as a friend. I'll do a few of them for free. She said, please talk to customer number one. Customer number one, Leslie is my biggest supporter. She loves the idea. She's going to be customer number one when this is ready. And I said, great, I'll talk to Leslie. So I wrote up some questions, called up Leslie, pressed record, and asked Leslie, how do you do this now? How do you do this? And what could be improved about how you do this now? And Leslie thought about it and she said, I've been fine-tuning my process for 20 years. I'm pretty happy with it. And I'm thinking, uh-oh. And I said, well, is there anything that could be made faster, easier, better, cheaper? That would be better for you. She thought about it and she said, no, I've really been working on this for about 20 years, really my whole career. I'm pretty happy with it now. I said, any ways it could be streamlined at all? And she was like, no, I don't think so. And I said, so you're not going to be customer number one? And she said, I'm not going to be customer number one. I said, and that's okay. It's good to know. And I went back to my friend and I said, bad news, customer number one is not going to be customer number one. And my friend's response was, no, my idea is good. Don't interview anybody else. Now, unfortunately, my friend went forward with it. She spent time and money. It didn't work. She killed the startup, and she's doing something much better now that is successful. So my friend is a smart person who is successful, but it's easy to fall into the no, I have a good idea. So I think it's really important to do these early research sessions with people, either observing them doing something like this or speaking to them. But again, make sure that your questions are less about, do you want this or would you use this? Those are usually marketing questions, and the questions are more around, how do you do this now? And what's going right with that? What works for you? What do you like about it? How is it efficient, or how is it good? What's not working here? How is this inefficient? Where are your workarounds? And again, sometimes you have to watch it to know where the workarounds are. People don't report workarounds in most cases. So Irena, I hope that helps. Breakfast shake. Please feel free to ask any follow-up questions because this is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. The early version, we have just decided, will only happen once a month, the third Tuesday of the month. So if you would like your question answered faster, you will want to submit it in the future for the weekly one. Oh, somebody has done something, but it's not telling me what. Thank you to someone for doing something. I don't know why I'm not getting the message. Let's open up. What did someone do? Usually it puts up a message and says, like, someone did a thing, and I can go, thank you for the thing, but I'm not seeing the thing. What did someone do? You know who you are. What did you do? Activity feed. Okay, I'm not seeing it. I don't know what someone did to set off that emoji explosion. Does anybody do? What did someone do to set off the emoji explosion? Okay, well, tell me when you know. Tejal says, can we have Abby again for more in-depth information architecture session? That is a great idea. I would always love to have Abby back. Tejal, I would ask you, do you have a specific question for Abby or topic for Abby? Because last time we just talked about information architecture more in general, what it is, because so few boot camps are teaching it, and some of the good books for learning it. Shannon says, good morning, it wasn't me. Oh no, Shannon, you're awake. It must be baby time. So if you have more specific topics or ideas related to information architecture, let me know so that we can ping Abby specifically, like, hey, people really want to hear about this. Can we have you back? I'd rather have someone back with a little bit of a focused idea than, hey, can you come back and talk more about information architecture? I would love to give them a little bit more focus. So if you have an idea or preference or topic or area, any guidelines help, and I'll write them down and I'll send her a note. Of course, if any of you have enjoyed any of the guests that I've had and you would like to see them come back, please let me know. I'm happy to invite people back, especially if you do have an area that you're hoping they will cover, discuss, teach, whatever it might be. So let me know what that is. Or if there's somebody I haven't had on the show before who you think is a low ego action hero and would be a great addition to our show, let me know and I will reach out and invite them. Irena says your answer helps a lot, and it's actually very simple. My idea is to bring something online that's currently only available in stores. So I was wondering how to approach the topic, but how do you do it now opens a lot of doors. Thank you, Debbie. You're welcome. And really, how do you do it now is good. And see if you can find any analogs that are close to doing something like this online. So for example, is there another product that previously was only available in stores and then came online? Either as a product or as a service. If you can think of another one, maybe do some research around those people, especially if you can find people who went with that transition or didn't go with that transition. I know it's now available online, but I only buy it in the store. Things like that. So look for things that tell you more about the behaviors and the audience. So thank you there. Madeline says, invite Jared Spool. You're so bad. You've been watching this show. Yeah, Jared Spool and I deeply dislike each other. It's palpable. I would not invite Jared Spool to anything. I would not invite him to breakfast. I would not invite him to a conference. I would not invite him. I would invite him to retire soon. That's really about it. Tejal says, common patterns, trends of information processing, or perception of average folks users, and I love to see the Three Musketeers. Well, the Three Musketeers are on a monthly schedule now, so you can catch the Three Musketeers the second Tuesday of every month. So we'll do second Tuesday of every month is Three Musketeers, third Tuesday of every month is early office hours. So I've noted what you're talking about for Abby. I will reach out to her and see if she feels like she has time to do this. I think she's working on her second book, and writing a book can be very consuming. So I don't want to bug her too much, but I'll see if it's something. Also, the Information Architecture Conference is this week, and I will probably run into her virtually there. We're both doing mentoring, so but again, let me let this week go by because it's the IA conference, and I think she's still heavily involved in that, and then I can reach out to her and say, hey, plus I want to have her back when her second book is ready so we can learn more about what's in that book and we can all buy it. This is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. This is the early version. I'll be back in about 7.5 hours to do the late version. I don't think I have any special guests today. I think it's just me. Let's see. It's just me. But let's see. And next week, just to talk about show notes a little bit, next week, we've got Monday, May 3rd. I'm going to be doing my new talk that I've written for non-UX, non-CX people, improving agility by using customers' definitions of quality and done. If you are having trouble getting people at your job to appreciate CX and UX, this is a little piece that might help. So ultimately, this stream is not necessarily for you, but it will be in the YouTube archives for you to show to coworkers and people at your company. Shannon, you bad. Office Hours, May 4th, only the late one. Reaction streams every Friday. Meow, 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 everybody. Monday, May 10th. Please mark your calendars for that. The show is going to be, I guess at that point, episode 110. That's going to be bootcamp, online course, and university curricula. Send it to me. If you have anything that you want me to give the short, micro, quick gut reaction to without in-depth research or finding people who did that course and asking them what they think, I'm just going to look at websites and give a quick opinion on things. Send it to this one, deltacx.link/reaction. Send me your boot camps, your online courses, your mentorship clubs, your whatever. I am going to be giving them my reactions on May 10th so that we're not using the Friday reaction streams for those. And I don't really have a lot of stuff planned for May. I have 50 to 80 hour work weeks most of May. So I've scheduled fewer stuff. Plus we had so much extra stuff in March and April when we did the micro lessons, and now those are over. So we're going to be on a little bit more of a normal schedule now. But hopefully it'll still be fun. Shannon says, can you tell us about the 4 horsemen idea? Darren said, someone tried to take, I missed that story. You missed that story because I didn't tell that story. But the extremely, extremely short version is just over a year ago, I found that someone was pretty much trying to steal my 4 horsemen of bad UX, which is a registered trademark in the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office system. Yes, it's registered. So someone was trying to, let's just say, use some wording that was a little bit too close. And I already had precedent where the Patent and Trademark Office had denied someone a trademark on, you're going to love this, the 4 horsemen of dentistry, because they felt that it was too close to the 4 horsemen of bad UX. Evidently, the people filing that wanted to build websites, and they had some sort of thing they were calling the 4 horsemen of dentistry, and the Patent and Trademark Office thought that was too close. So surely, if the 4 horsemen of dentistry is too close to the 4 horsemen of bad UX, then this person, who would be a name you would know, trying to use the 4 horsemen of something UX, that's going to be a trademark infringement. Darren said fame isn't what it's cracked up to be. Yeah, and fame isn't much. I'm certainly not here for the fame, and I'm certainly not here for the big payday. I'm here to try to teach and help others. I think Darren is too. I don't think he's a fame chaser. I don't think Dr. Nick is a fame chaser. And I think we can all tell who is. And but that's not even some of these people's worst infractions. Is that the right crimes? UX crimes. So yeah. So, but luckily, having grown up in a family of lawyers, I wrote this person a carefully worded letter. I carbon copied a few people who absolutely did not need to be carbon copied. Though they needed to take it down too. So they would have gotten an email, but I made sure they got the same email that the other person got because I knew that would matter. Can't go into too much detail here. I also believe that this person does tend to watch my streams or has this person's staff watching my streams. So, hi. Did you get any good ideas today? Yeah, so I sent that person a carefully worded letter. Letter, what year am I from? Email. They spent most of that day fighting me with some absolutely poor and weak arguments as to why it was okay for them to use the 4 horsemen of something UX. And but then they said they were going to change the name anyway. And they're going to change the name, but not because I asked them to, because they found a better name. Hey, tell yourself whatever story works. You can lie to yourself, but you can't lie to me. I'm always going to figure it out. So, yeah, so that was the smallest legal battle I've been in lately, but that was short-lived, and I think this person should feel grateful every day that I don't say their name and tell more of that story. Oh, thank you for joining. Thank you so much, Madeline. That's very kind of you. Thank you for joining the members. By the way, for people becoming members, if you are becoming the higher level member at $6 American a month, I do want to do a special monthly stream just for you. But right now there's like 4 of you, and I don't know what to stream that you would want that would give you the value that your higher level membership deserves. So get in touch with me and let me know what I can do that would be a little value add for the members only stream. For the cheese, yes, thank you. Tejal says, would love to see your next book, Ninjas of User Research. That is actually not going to be my next book. The next book is in the works. I'm hoping it will be out later this week. And you will be unsurprised to hear that it will be a book co-written with Larry Marine about task analysis. So, not Ninjas of User Research, but that's got a good title. Someone's going to use that. You know, people watch my stream and get ideas, and I can tell when they steal ideas from stuff that I've said. You know, there is a person I don't like, and we all know who that is. And sometimes when I say on my stream that I'm working on something, I find that he will rush out something that is similar, and he'll try to rush it out faster than mine. And it's like, really? Like, I haven't been in elementary school for years. This just looks silly. And other people notice. So thank you for the cheese, Madeline. I'm thinking about ricotta today. I really am. I can't decide if I want to make homemade ravioli or be lazy and gain a little weight and go buy the good stuff. So anyway, we're just about out of time. So if you have a last question, now's your last chance. But it's only your last chance for 7.5 hours because I'll be back at 6:30 p.m. Italy time, where I'm located, doing this all again. Office hours, ask me anything. And remember, this link is good 24/7. It will grab your questions, which you can ask typed, voice, or video. And we've only had one person do voice and video. And this is how I know Clubhouse isn't a thing, because none of you want to record your voice or video for my show. So, yeah. So I will see everybody later, and I will get all this stuff cooking on the YouTube site. And thanks to everybody who hung out today, 10 of you. And like I said, I will adjust the schedule for doing the early one once a month. But remember, if you need a question answered faster, join the Slack channel and ask me there. We help each other all day long. There's a nice active community there now. deltacx.link/join Slack. Please subscribe on YouTube. It's a better world here. Irena says, I just want to say thanks again. It was very fun and insightful to listen to you. I'll be tuning back in the next time. Thank you. I hope you are located in a place where if I usually do this all of my streams are 6:30 p.m. Italy time. So you'll need to see how that matches up with your time zone. And of course, you can always look at deltacx.link/events. That's a Google Calendar with all the streams that are coming up. So you will know what's coming when. You'll be the first to know. Christina says, good morning. And Christina, I am signing off. So sorry, Christina, but I will be back in 7.5 hours to do this all again. And I still haven't made new ending music. It's to match the new theme song. So sorry, the end of the show is still a little dreary. I will make that a weekend project. Oh, it's okay, Christina. You can just watch this back. It's about to be archived on YouTube. I'll go put it in the Office Hours playlist, and you can find it there. So I'm going to play us out of here, but I'll see everybody in X hours, and we'll do it all again. So thanks, and be safe. Bye. Delta CX, available for CX and UX consulting, projects, and training. Contact us for a free consultation.